All right, so to get the overall width of it, I'm going to place it up here in the top left corner. I'm going to get a rough idea. I see that because it's curved, the sides kind of bow out when I'm looking right at the middle. But you'll notice that this line right here is all the way to the right. So I just draw a very light line. Now when I'm doing this, I'm what I refer to as choking up on the pencil. I'm not holding the pencil all the way down here. I'm not squeezing it with my fingers like I would be writing. I'm kind of loose with my pencil. I hold it in between my fingers rather loose, and I choke way up on the pencil so that I draw a light line. Almost not visible if I were not demonstrating it on a camera. It would be very, very light, just to give me an indication of where that edge should be. Then I'm going to look at the other side, and I find that it's this graph line right here. So I just need to identify where that is, and I get the overall width of my marker. I also notice, both from the image and from laying it down on the paper, that this marker is only 3 units tall. So it has a width and a height. And that width is apparently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Count yours and see if it's 20 units in width. Look at your graph paper image that you have, or the image of the marker. See if it is 20. Is it 3 units tall? Take a straight edge and draw a little rectangle around this area. Do it very lightly, and do not be afraid to rotate your paper as necessary. So I've rotated mine to be a bit more vertical. Notice how I'm holding my pencil. Look now. Notice how I'm holding my pencil. I'm going to start at one end. I'm going to put my straight edge up to it. And I'm going to rotate my straight edge around my pencil. Get it to where I want it to be. And pull my pencil towards me. Getting a rough line of where it should be. Now I'm going to go over it a couple of times to make it dark enough for you to see. But it should be just dark enough to fill in the spaces between the little dots that make up the lines. Do it for the bottom. And I don't worry about doing that on the sides as much because they're very short lines. And in the end, these lines are going to all be consumed or eaten up by some delineated object lines. Go ahead.
So, should we make ours 25 long, or should we make it the exact same size? And a little...
This is your choice, okay? It depends on the scale. These markers are small enough that I can do a 1-to-1 scale. I'm literally using a physical marker. And I have some, not a whole lot, that you can use, that you can set on your paper and look at. The picture that I took is of this same exact marker set on the same type of graph paper. So if you count the markings, it should be how many? And did you all count it?
Yeah, okay. 20, but like, what?
Looks like it's sticking out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's an illusion. It's because the object is circular. It's a cylinder. So if you're looking at the center of the object, more focused on, say, where the word Sharpie is, and that's where, in this case, my eye is the camera, right? So if I'm looking there, anything to the right that's cylindrical will appear to curve out to the right, and anything to the left that's cylindrical will appear to curve out to the left. But if I straighten it up and I look straight down on it, it looks like a straight line that's vertical now. And this is all about perspective. And when we get into Unit 2 and we talk about perspective sketching, I'll show you more about why that happens.
So we should pretend, because this is like the squares are a little bit smaller down here, so we should pretend like this.
They are the same size squares as they are here. I've just shrunken the picture down. That drawing is going, or that picture is going to be a smaller scale than the real life. I've scaled it down. Use the units, not how big it is.
Okay.
Got it? That look on your face was precious, by the way. It was great. All right. Now that I have the overall width, let's think about and talk about some other shapes and some other. Really, we need to talk about some placement of these shapes. So, for example, I notice that something is different if I move from the right to the left as I get to this neck. This is the neck of or almost the shoulder, really, of the marker. Okay, if I were to take the cap off, you'd find the neck, and the shoulder is bulbous. It's kind of round, right? So when I put the cap back on, some of that gets covered up. Well, I need to know where that happens. And if everything is all lined up as it was, I see that right about here, I'm going to get up on top of it. About here and here, almost on those lines, is where that curvature starts to happen. So I make little indications of that. And then just past that line, in those two spots is where the cap stops. Or starts, depending on which direction you're going. So that's one end of the cap. So something happens between those two lines. And what happens is that the shoulder curves in to the neck. Now, I'm not drawing that yet. I'm just marking the indications, or the positions of these things to indicate where they are. I can also come over here and mark on the far left side where the edge of this big portion of the cap, and what I refer to a lot of times as the knob or the nub, this little piece, where it starts and where the cap ends. And then I know that the nub comes all the way over to the left-hand side. So all I've done is mark some placement in width. That's all I've done. I've used some vertical lines to mark placements in width. And that's because, and this is going to be reinforced for you in Unit 2, a front view, which is what we're drawing, longest dimensions, most contoured shape. A front view has two dimensions to it, height and width. So if I'm going to mark my width, I'm going to use vertical height lines to do so. Well, let's think about the reverse of that. The next thing I'm going to do is mark my heights, and I'm going to use width lines to do that. Now, show of hands, those of you that have your rectangle and these marking indications on your sheet. Here we go. Most of you. Okay, we're going to move ahead. So, more so things happen over here on the left. And what I really notice is that this nub in height, it's really a little more than one square. Just a little bit. It's more like here. It's a little width line. And then the same distance on the other side, roughly right about there. Can you see him now? Okay. And again, I'm drawing kind of dark so that you can see. The lighter you do this, the better. You may wind up needing to erase a little more than you think down the road. It's okay. When you do this on your own, making little marks, very light with your pencil is best. So if I do that here, you won't see it. And I need you to be able to see where I'm making these marks. Okay? I'm good at going back and erasing these things. Again, what the eraser shield is really good at doing for us is going back and helping us get rid of these tiny little marks by leaving the open space right over the top of what I want to erase, and it shields all my other pencil marks. Okay? And it helps with that. Is there anybody in here that can start to see, just with the lines we've drawn so far, what the marker is going to start to look like? Some of you? Show hands, those of you that can kind of see what it's going to look like. Good. That's a good thing. The other thing that I start to notice is that as my marker cap moves in width from left to right, it tapers in. And I kind of need to know where that is. So I'm going to line it back up. Yours is already lined up on your drawing. I'm going to try to do this while I'm looking over my shoulder at the screen. It would appear that roughly here and in this general vicinity here, and you can look at your drawing and make your best estimate, that's where the cap tapers to. So I'm going to start that line at this point and carry it at an angle to here. And if I investigate closely, I see that it's almost a straight line. It's pretty close to being a straight line for this particular marker. I also notice, if I get really detailed with this, see if I can get it to stay. I'm pointing at the shoulder, and I'm seeing where it starts to bend in, and how that shoulder is not touching where the cap ends. Notice how there's a little jut in that, a little V shape right there. Okay? There is a little V shape right there that I need to try and account for if I can. Again, work with your skill sets. Can you actually do that? Maybe. We'll find out. Okay? Now comes the time where I talk to you about construction lines. That's what we've been creating. We're constructing the object. These are lightly drawn lines, and they're very, very easy to do. Watch very carefully, and then do. Watch, and then do. Watch first. Notice how I'll rotate my paper as necessary. far right, I'm going to bend this line out slightly, symmetrically, evenly. Bend it out slightly. Try to do that. I know I made that look easy, yes? Do you know how many times I've drawn this exact same marker? I've taught this class now since 2008. It's 2016. I teach it multiple times a semester, and there are 2 semesters in each year. Last year, this is all I taught was IED. I had 6 sections of it. And for each class, I probably drew it once or twice. And then I draw it just for fun, for practice. I've probably drawn the same marker near over 100 times in just the most recent of years. It's nothing more than 1, 2, 3, 4 straight lines, curved line to the left, curved line to the left again, a line that seems maybe slightly curved, but not as much. The shoulders are more curved lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 curved lines. 4 straight lines. And then 2 lines that are straight, but are diagonal to make the top and bottom of the cap. We're going to stop here. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you how to lay out the lettering, because you will not write the word Sharpie highlighter and smear guard. You will draw them. And this will be a challenge for you. But you can do it. We'll space it all out, and then we'll do some shading at the end. Although shading makes it look 3-dimensional, it and the highlights are the quickest things to do.